Hello and welcome to the Podium, which is coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. With me, Asmiba. Our quote of the day comes from an Indian statesman, APJ Abdul Kalam, and it says, if a country is to be corruption-free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel there are three key societal members who can make the difference. They are the father, the mother, and the teacher. Coming up into this edition of the program, there are duplications to investigation of former government functionaries by the Commission of Inquiry and the Anti-Corruption Commission. We are set to find out. Minister of Information and Communications meets with traditional rulers, tribal heads, and village heads on the commencement of the inquiry. Government assesses facilities of the special courts where the commissions of inquiry are to be held. And civil society members take a position on the Commission of Inquiry. All these and more, including your text messages, which you can send to 08373 504 08373 504. It's Podium. Let's start with our first issue. As the Anti-Corruption Commission continues its investigations, indictments, and out-of-court settlements of former government officials, there have been misconceptions on the functions of the ACC and that of the Commissions of Inquiry. Already, key former officials are now helping the ACC in its investigation while they await the Commissions of Inquiry. While in the studio is Alassane Kagbo. He is the Deputy Director of Public Education and Outreach of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Some people hold the view that the ACC has already begun doing what the Commissions of Inquiry will be doing a few weeks or few days from now.
Well, that is not true. That is not the correct view. The ACC has a mandate to fight corruption. That is what we are investigating. That is what will prevent. That is what will prosecute. Our mandate is not contingent upon any other thing. It gives us a free hand to fight corruption. If you go to the short title of our act, the Anti-Corruption Act of 2008, the mandate of the Commission is to prevent, investigate, prosecute, and ensure the punishment of those that are involved in corruption and corrupt-related matters.
Are we not going to see people being punished twice? Some people are already under the net of the ACC, and it is highly likely they are also going to be under the net of the Commissions of Inquiry.
I don't speak for the Commission of Inquiry. I do not understand their processes, I do not understand the details. What I'm competent to talk about is the ACC. We are guided by law. We have started functioning long before the idea of Commission of Inquiry came up. We have a function to perform as enshrined in Section 7.1 of our Act. What is in the short title is further reinforced in Section 7.1. Section 7.1 mandates us to take all steps, reasonable steps, to prevent corruption, eradicate corruption, or suppress corruption at all levels of society. So that is what we will do, and that is what we will continue to do.
And the new vogue of the ACC now is this out-of-court settlements. Some people say that in itself not only exacerbates corruption, but it also breeds corruption by asking people, instead of indicting them, instead of charging them, asking them to come forward and pay.
They could have an argument, but I don't think it is the new vogue, because it is not new.
And, well, the new vogue is because what is happening now in terms of this ACC asking people to come and pay. It seems as if it is unprecedented under this current
it has
leadership
increased.
of the ACC.
It has increased a lot, quite different from what used to obtain in terms of numbers. But the principle itself of settling matters out of court is not new. You could remember the Nassit Ferry case, would have been settling out of court. So this is not new. But I agree, the argument is very strong that the deterrent effect of such will not be very strong. That is why, as a commission, the commissioner has taken the lead in trying to review certain sections of our act to ensuring that if you pay for anything, or because you've embezzled or you've misappropriated public revenue or public funds, as the case may be, then additional repercussions must follow. For instance, banning you for a period of time from serving in public office, or life ban, or any other measure that may be consistent with the fact that you may have further punishment for taking and paying back.
So how does the ACC reach to that conclusion to say Mr. A would have out-of-court settlement and Mr. B should be charged to court?
Well, the prosecutorial discretion rests with the commissioner. For certain issues he will charge for. For instance, where there is conflicts of interest, he will charge. Now, the recovery of funds is also consistent with the current policy, government policy that exists. So many factors are responsible for that. Remember that if you go to court, there is no guarantee that you will get what you are requesting for. That is the nature of the law.
But if you believe in your evidence, if your evidence is not clear-legged, if your evidence is convincing, then I see no need why the ACC should fear the courts. The courts are meant
the ACC is not fearing the court. The courts. The ACC has mandate to recover monies. Go to section 48(1) of our act. You go to section 123 of our act, also allows us to bring civil action against people for the recovery of monies. And if these people are willing to pay all the monies we're asking for, then why go to court? Why waste time? I agree the deterrent side of it, you could explain. But sincerely, if you've paid back to government coffers, a lot of people may not give you public position, given the fact that you've paid back. But for us, that is not sufficient. Like I said, we are taking steps so the laws will be reviewed to ensuring that further punishment will be applicable in situations in which people misappropriate public funds and then pay back in exchange for prosecution.
So is ACC going to furnish the commissions of inquiry with certain information, certain evidence that the commissions might need? Because there are certain people that are under the net of the ACC now, highly likely the commissions, they are of interest to the commissions of inquiry, if I could put it that way.
I don't know the modus operandi of the commission of inquiry. I cannot make a projection on that, so I don't know. But we have a mandate to fight corruption. We will follow the law. If any law requires us to comply with the commission of inquiry, if it's legal, I am sure we have legal obligations, we'll discharge that. Everything depends on the law. But as it is now, we are guided by the Anti-Corruption Act of 2008. That is what we'll focus on. That will be the guiding line.
So why are people thinking you are doing the job for the commissions of inquiry?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they are misunderstanding. Maybe it's a misconception like you started out from your intro, where misconceptions and misunderstandings exist. Yeah, people are liable to feel that way. So that is why I'm here to draw a clear distinction that the ACC and commissions of inquiry are separate and distinct.
Okay. He is Alassane Kagbo, the Deputy Director of Public Education and Outreach of the Anti-Corruption Commission. It's Podium, coming to you from Twitter, and send your messages to the number 088373 Well, the Ministries of Works and Public Assets and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice and other line ministries have made an on-the-spot visit to assess facilities at the Special Court ahead of the commencement of the Commissions of Inquiry. Well, this is the second visit to the facility since government initiated the Commission of Inquiry. However, reports suggest that there was serious destruction of the facilities of the Special Court. Well, the court had many facilities including vehicles, generators, courtroom and containers used as offices. Well, they presently are not in good shape. Well, as government is planning to commence the commissions a few weeks from now, is the special court ready to host the proceedings? Well, Paul Bokari is the professional head of the Ministry of Works. Welcome to the program, sir, Mr. Bokari. Okay. How would you describe the status of the special courts, I mean the facilities at the moment?
Well, the special court as a facility, we have the main bowl where the two courts were located, which used to handle the main courts, the main criminal cases during the days of the special court. And there are container structures, which used to be retreat centers, conference rooms, offices, and quite a lot of functions that were housed within the facility. And when we assessed the facility last year in August, we found out that the main bowl was actually dilapidated. There were a lot of facilities that were housed in the particular building that were carted away, like the audiovisual systems, a lot of other media systems were all looted from the facility. Then we found out that even the floor of the main bowl was a timber floor system, had actually dilapidated that in such a way that you cannot even stand on it. You need to overhaul the whole thing. Then the system was done in such a way that it has a chiller cooling system. To facilitate that chiller cooling system require us to run a KVA generator of 500 kilovolts. You see, those generators are not easily serviced and they require a high amount of energy to run them, fueling and whatnot. It involves a lot. So after several assessments done on the special courts facility, the bank complex, police training school, we decided to select those 3 containers to be used as courts vis-a-vis for the commissions of inquiry, and then another additional structure as an administrative and a conference room. You see? So
what's the capacity of those containers?
The capacity of those containers is we can house the commissioner, who might be the judge, then the clerk, the defense and prosecuting teams, of course the witnesses, and then for at least 50 or more audiences who may want to witness the proceedings of the court. So each of those courts can house that amount of people. And we have in 3 courts, we believe that one is enough for us to undertake the proceedings.
What about refurbishing the court itself, where the special court had its proceedings? Is it not possible for...
It involves a lot. As I've said, the cooling system done was a chiller system. You need to overhaul the entire chiller system.
Can that be done?
It can be done, but we require, we need to, a lot of equipment are not there currently. If you are to have it being used for this particular purpose, we may have to do a lot of purchasing, be order for items from overseas to replace them, and it cannot be done in the short term. It requires a long-term planning, assessment, and overhaul of the entire system.
Okay. So are the containers going to be up and ready, proper for use when, let's say, because I don't know, but the commissions of inquiry will begin either the 2nd or the 3rd week of January?
Yeah, for the better half of 2 weeks, we've actually overhauled the electrical systems for the containers for us to run the containers. We've actually serviced one of the generators, which can provide, it's enough to provide power for the container structures. We've done overhauled the water system. We've ensured that GUMA and EDSC were involved in the process. Now we have water at the facility. Electricity is constant. We've actually done the partitioning within. We've gone ahead to make arrangement for the procurement of court furnitures, the fix up the chamber for the commissioner or the judge, fix up the workstations for the court clerical staff, and even provide furniture for the defense and prosecuting lawyers or counsels who will be involved. Okay. So we believe the premises is about we are about 90 to 99% ready.
Okay, he is the professional head of the Ministry of Work. This Podium coming to you from Freetown. Well, the much talked about issue for now is in the country is the commissions of inquiry, which are scheduled to begin. Which are scheduled to begin their operations in this January. Well, the commissions of inquiry have generated serious debates in various quarters. As we speak, a group of civil society members is holding a press conference to take a position on the commissions of inquiry. Well, in the studio is Mohamed Kalon. Welcome to the program, Mohamed, a member of the Governance Monitoring Network, Citizens Education Watch and Development. Welcome to the program, Mohamed.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here.
Your consortium, if I could put that, has taken a side, right?
Yeah.
What's your own side? What's your position so far?
Asmiru, it's very clear that Sierra Leone is on record that each time we come together, if we want things to work very hard, well for Sierra Leone, we need to come together. So as a result of that, we as organizations, we have decided to form a consortium to come together so that we can support government in the fight against corruption. We know very well that corruption is endemic to society. It's corrosive, in fact. So as a result of that, it has deprived us of a lot of activities. So as a result of that, we have come together and have taken a position that we want all corrupt officials to be brought to book.
Have you already concluded that they are corrupt? Can't you use the word allege?
Well, yes.
Because for now they are presumed innocent until.
That's what we are saying. Let them come. Let every official who have served come to book, so that whatever the case might be, we have decided that we are going to support government. We are calling on government, and also we are supporting all institutions that are fighting corruption in the country. We have decided that we are going to organize a 10,000 man march, a peaceful march, to show citizens support for the Commission of Inquiry, and also calling on government to intensify the fight against corruption.
Why do you need a 10,000 march?
This is just an indication that we, the citizens, have also we have jumped into the bandwagon.
But 10,000 is less than even 1% of the country's population. So you can't, data-wise, you can't use that to say everybody welcomes the Commission of Inquiries.
That's just the beginning. We can go more than that, but we are calling out to 10,000. I am sure we have no limits. We can even go to 1 million or 1 million better. But that's what we are just setting for now. We have gone for 10,000 man march on the 13th, that's Saturday, the 13th of January.
Have you sought police clearance?
Of course, that is in progress as I speak to you. It's in progress now, and we are sure to make the mark that on that particular Saturday, we want every citizen who feels that Sierra Leone belongs to the state and that does not belong to any political party or any individual to come out in their numbers to do a peaceful march. Do
you think the police will grant you? Because the police will say if they grant you a permit, then it means they will have opened a floodgates. Others will also say, hey, police, we also want to take to the street to have a peaceful march to show that we are against the Commission of Inquiry. And the police will say they don't want to be caught in the middle.
I am sure that the police is a professional force. They know exactly what to do, because from what we have stated, the Commission of Inquiry is a law that has been passed already by government. I am sure that anybody going against it is an act of indiscipline. So I am sure if we are coming to support that, we want to see the commission go on, because we, the citizens, as well as the civil society organizations, we are calling on all of them so that we can come together. We do this march because it's a law already. It has been passed. The instrument, it has become a law now. So it is lawful for us to come out.
So I mean, it is now law. Nothing is going to stop it. So why do you need to why do you need to take people out of the streets when you and I know that it is now a law and it is going to happen and nothing will stop it?
Even when it is a law, you have people who are coming against it. You also have people who are arguing against it. You have people who are bringing different types.
Is that not their fundamental rights?
It's their rights. So also it's our right to also come out. We are coming out in a peaceful march at both ends, western end as well as the eastern end. We are going to converge at Cotton Tree, where we will have people and law enforcement agencies make certain statements in order to show the international community and as well as people in Sierra Leone that the citizens have also jumped into the fight of corruption. You know very well that when the war started, the war didn't come to an end until when the citizens united. We also had the Ebola. It didn't end until when the citizens united. So also is this. So if the citizens can unite at this particular point in time, we are sure that we will nip it in the bud.
Here is Mohammed B. Kalon, the National Coordinator. The program is a Podium coming to you from Freetown. Be part of it by inboxing us on 0833735504. Mr. Kagbo, the latest person to be under the net of the ACC is the former Minister of Defense, Major Richard Alfred Palukwante. I understand that he was released and a bail was granted, a stiff bail, I may to understand.
Yes, property worth 2 billion loans and 2 shorties.
2 billion loans?
Yes.
Okay. Why such a stiff bail? Some people are saying this gentleman was out of the country and he knew no sooner he landed he was going to be arrested. So some people said he had the opportunity not to have come, but he chose to come.
Yeah, but that's the procedure. If you go to Section 66 of our Act, it gives us powers of arrest. Section 67, powers of detention. We could detain up to 10 days. So when the allegations are serious, a lot of the time the bail condition is very stiff.
So when is he going to be charged to court?
I don't know. You know, investigation processes are difficult to predict because you don't know what would obtain or the kind of intricacies that are involved in the investigations. So it's very difficult to put an accurate timeline to it.
So what are the allegations against him so far?
Well, we are investigating allegations of bordering on misappropriation of public funds. Specifically, we are looking at certain procurements that occurred under his leadership as head of that ministry.
Now, the other day also, SEC issued a press release concerning a senior official at the National Electoral Commission who inflated leave allowances and what have you, but also an out-of-court settlement was reached.
Sure. Sure, it's consistent with the pattern that we have. You made the point a couple of minutes ago.
Was he the only one? Because the critical question I asked, and other people have also asked that question, it was that it borders on leave allowances. What about those whose leave allowances were bloated? Didn't they know, or what?
Because what he... it was the scheme. What he does was he will transfer these monies to the account of a junior officer. I think it's the driver. And he will tell the driver that these are monies these people took as loan. So I'm transferring these monies to you, and he will go and cash the money. The driver will then hand over the monies to him. That is what our investigation shows. And the investigation shows that at no point did the driver benefited from that scheme. So we know that the people were not aware of the scheme. So he was doing it secretly in the name of his colleagues. But his colleagues were not part of the scheme at all. That is what the investigations unveiled.
I mean, one is tempted to say maybe this has permeated in all MDs.
Well, I don't know, but this is cause for concern. So we are looking at all MDs now with respect to this scheme. It's a new scheme that we are not aware of. Now we have a clue, so we're looking at it right across all MDs.
So when is he going to pay the remaining money? Is it within 6 months?
Yeah, within 6 months.
Okay. Now let's talk about the NACIT issue also. NACIT also, 2 senior officials also, we are also asked to pay some money as a startup, and later they will pay the remaining money.
Yes, some people have completed quite recently, and there is one that we're still negotiating to complete his payment. That is the details I have for now.
How do these people normally reach the amount of money that they will pay to the ACC?
Well,
is it the ACC that tells them
it's
pay 1 billion?
No, based on the investigations. The ACC investigates, and we have documents and other evidence to the effect. Don't forget that we have accountants as investigators, forensic accountants as investigators, we have engineers as investigators, we have all kinds of discipline. So such matters, you would have the forensic accountants who are investigators, they will look into this and come up with a sum based on the evidence available to them.
Is it some more than what the person had misappropriated, or below what the person had misappropriated?
You would not pay below. I don't quite know the calculations. Clearly, I will tell you. But it is not disadvantage in the state at all. I can assure you of that.
Okay, he is Alassane Kagbo, the Deputy Director of Public Education and Outreach of the ACC. We are going for a short break. After the break, the program continues.
The people, the power, the public, and the squire, where the people come to tell it all, ask questions, and demand answers on the way they are governed. The Public Squire is the platform for discourse on topical issues to bring about change in the governance of the nation. Be a part of SLBC TV every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. as the nation's broadcaster debates hot burning issues of the day. The Public Squire, where the people converge every Sunday 4 to 6 p.m. on SLBC.
away from me, you want all the rubber. Hey, 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 hey. I'm going back to my roots, yeah, yeah. Reggae music is all that I need. You heard the news. Have you heard the news?
A long time. We love the vibes like this. Play the music again. Yeah, reggae music again.
It's Stay in the Song, an hour entertainment program featuring songs from across the globe. A mixed bag production creating a source of inspiration for the younger folks and is capable of influencing change in human existence with your host, Bigger B. Remember, music is a rather philosophical concept with no real right or wrong. Remember tuning in to the SLBC every Saturday at 11 midnight on channel 27 to stay in the song. You might imagine scenes from the past, present and the future, giving you insight into the value of music. So stay in the song.
I can't return. Memory move out down south.
It is my reggae. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is mine. Reggae is mine. Reggae is mine. Yeah, yeah.
We are back with the program Podium, which is coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation with me, Asmiba. Be part of it by inboxing us on 08373-504. And on the commissions of inquiry have generated some serious debate in society. Different people are looking at it from different perspectives. Take for instance, the most topical issue now is this issue whether permanent secretaries should be brought under the investigations. What's your take on that?
I am sure yesterday I think I heard the Deputy Information Minister made something very clear on that. He had made it very clear that if you are invited to the commission and if you think you have evidence against any permanent secretary, I think you have to follow that one. I think
that's
it is very clear.
That's a probability.
Well, it can be a probability, but sometimes you can say it's a probability, but I'm sure very well that that's the situation. I am sure the Commission of Inquiry is also going to make rules as to who and who are actually going there. But for now, I am sure they have not said who are going there. So if that's the case, let's wait and see.
No, wait, it is clear. If you are following the debate in Parliament, or even the document that established the Commission of Inquiry says officials who served the Anaskoma regime from 2007 to 2018.
Yeah.
Nothing has been mentioned like permanent secretaries.
Well, I think it's a concern. I am sure the government has said it's a concern. Let them put their concerns together. I am sure they will look into it.
Do you support for permanent secretaries to be brought?
I can say definitely, because we don't know exactly. We are the citizens. We feel hit seriously by the act of corruption.
But they are the ones. They are the ones who do the day-to-day running of these MDAs.
Yes,
even though permanent secretaries.
Yes, they are the ones that.
A ministry cannot function without a permanent secretary. But a ministry can function without a minister, but not without a permanent secretary.
Yes, but of course, it is in most cases it is the ministers who authorize those things to happen.
Who are the vote controllers?
If that's the case, we have said let us look at if the commission has stated that these are the individuals. The commission has its definition. If they have stated that these are the individuals we are going to probe into, let them be probed into. That's what we are saying here. This is a citizen-led campaign. That is why we are saying we the citizens have also jumped into it now. We want to bring out these people. Let people come out. We are calling on civil society groups, the citizens, let them come out and let people see them to know exactly that we the citizen, we support the Commission of Inquiry and we are also supporting the government and institutions that are fighting corruption to intensify the fight against corruption.
Okay, citizens are also being asked to come forward with pieces of evidence. How would you also help in that drive?
Definitely, I think we will help. That's why we are also calling on the Commission of Inquiry to empower the citizen. We have taken up the fight now. The Governance Monitoring Network, as well as CWAD, we have taken up the fight. That is why we are also calling on other civil society groups. We are also calling on individual citizens to come forward. Let us team up. Let us join this particular campaign. There is a nexus being drawn between government and the civil society groups also, which we are sure that it is in the best interest of the citizens if corruption is being nipped out of the bud. So that's why we are now calling on government. We are telling them now, yes, what we have seen, we are impressed with what we have seen so far. For the first time, we have seen the Anti-Corruption Commission tendering such an amount, a colossal amount of money to the government, and the president has stated that that particular amount of money is going to be used for something that can benefit the citizen. As a result of that, we the citizen feel it is high time we came together to support the fight against corruption. So that's why we are calling on every citizen. If you know corruption has affected you in one way or the other, corruption has deprived us of a lot. It has deprived us of what? A lot of basic amenities. So that is why we are calling on citizens to come out on Saturday, the 13th of January. We are going to do a peaceful march to the cotton tree to show our support for the fight against corruption. We don't want to know whether you serve in the past government or not, or whether you are serving in the present government. All what we are saying, we want to show our support to government in the fight against corruption.
The program is Podium, coming to you from Freetown. The Minister of Information and Communications is meeting with traditional rulers, tribal heads, village heads, and other traditional authorities to sensitize them on the commencement of the commissions of inquiry. Well, the sensitization is part of a nationwide project to educate people on the mandate of the commissions and to dispel misconceptions surrounding them. Well, the Commission of Inquiry are among 10 recommendations to investigate former government functionaries on allegations of massive corruption and unexplained wealth. Well, in the studio is Chief Jibawu Young. Welcome to the program, sir, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for being on Podium. What was the crux of your meeting with the Minister of Information?
Well, our meeting with the Ministry of Information was purely to sensitize us, the 16 tribal heads in the western area, sensitizing us in the sense that that they want to tell us the parameters that they are going to use for this commission of inquiry, and that it is not a process of a witch hunt, but it is a process that they want to at least draw a line against corruption, and that the country cannot grow in corruption. And until a line is being drawn, then we will not get anywhere. Because they have told us that we have to go back to our people, tell them that this is not about SLPP, APC, C4C. This is about Sierra Leone. The whole essence of the Commission of Inquiry is for us to know that this country has got enough wealth, enough minerals, but we are the least developed in West Africa. Why? It's simply because this country has been one of the most corrupt countries in West Africa. And until a line is drawn, until they set an example, then Sierra Leone will not get out of.
So as chiefs, how did you receive the message from the Information Ministry?
Oh, it was received overwhelmingly that we do support. All of the 16 tribal heads were in that meeting, and it was a welcome.
So it was unanimous?
Message. It was unanimous that we do appreciate the government, and we are with them, and we get back to our people. We try to sensitize them, to tell them not to induce their children to jump on the street to be involved in any kind of hooliganism. No, this is not about an individual. This is about the betterment of Sierra Leone. And it is also the Commission of Inquiry is one for those who have been in governance before, and for even those who are presently in governance, for them to know that tomorrow you have to give account of your stewardship. Because if you set an inquiry, if you get out of office, know that tomorrow they will set an inquiry on you. So this is, so the 16 tribal heads, we welcome.
So how much leverage do you have on your people as chiefs?
How much leverage you have on our people?
Yes, sir.
I can tell you that no foreign seed grows in a foreign land. No foreign seed will grow in a foreign land. Our people have got absolute trust and confidence in their chiefs. And when we talk to them, if you get to the list man, you talk to that person, the person will say, okay, I've heard. But when the chief utter any statement, they will tell you it's coming from the chief. That's a policy statement. Let me give you an example. When President Kaba wanted to institute the local government, they were trying to register voters. For a week, they were getting about 4 or 5 people to be registered in one polling station. They did that for almost 2 weeks. Then it was a low turnout. Then they decided to call on the 16 tribal heads in the Western area. And we came into this studio. We appealed to our people in our various ethnic languages. And in the following morning, every polling station, there was a queue. So that shows you that our people listen to us and they have got respect for us. They have respect for their chiefs.
Are you also in touch with your other colleague chiefs in the regions? Because you are representing the Western. What about those in Makeni, those in Bo, those in Kenema?
Well, definitely we are tribal heads who are not paramount chiefs. We are their representatives in this Western area because the Western area is a cosmopolitan settlement. And you've got all tribes settled in the Western area. And there is no chiefdom that is not being represented here. And we look over their people in the Western area. So we are serving as their ambassadors. So we are in a very good time.
Well, here is Chief Young. Let's go for a few text messages for now. This first one says, no one is against the commissions of inquiry. The point the opposition is making is that all permanent secretaries, directors, and directors who worked with them should be brought before the commissions. The new trend of the ACC to hold suspects on prolonged detention at CID is tantamount to duress and bargaining chip to intimidate accused persons for an out-of-court settlement. This act is an injustice and unfair treatment. This one said, these group of civil society members are pro-SLP members who cronies are among the most corrupt civil servants. What is important now is for the government to publish the rules of the Commission of Inquiry and incorporate the rules of evidence and investigate permanent secretaries. Mr. Kagbo, we have piles of Auditor General's report for a couple of years. Please tell us if the ACC will go into those reports and which ones will the ACC look into. Mr. Ban, the police will not give anyone clearance to march or demonstrate because no opposing voice will show up. From every indication, nobody is opposed to the Commission of Inquiry, not even the APC. So police will have no context. I'm sure the CSO only wants to show solidarity. The final says, MDAs are the most dangerous entities involved in massive corruption. Well, keep sending your messages to number 08837350. Mr. Kagbo, 2 interesting messages for you. The issue of Auditor General's report and this issue of people being detained on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and release them on Monday.
They said prolong. We do not abuse. In all of these, no one has accused of in breach of the law. We've been expecting the law. Under the laws, we can keep people up to 10 days in detention. We've not done that. If you meet the bail conditions, we'll grant you bail. And that is what the law says. For the purposes of investigation, the commissioner may determine Section 67 to detain someone, but he cannot detain more than 10 days. On the issue of Auditor General's report, keep in mind that when the Auditor General's report came out some 3 years ago, the ACC issued a press release then, instructing all those whose names were mentioned in that report to report to the ACC for further investigations. Parliament made an intervention. Parliament said they have the right to supersede. So Parliament is a superior institution. It's a creation of Parliament. It's the creation of the Constitution. It's the third arm of government. So the argument preceded over our position. So they are taking the lead on that.
So it's in the tower.
We are not throwing the towel. You had the argument then, you could remember
but you
the
considered defeat,
confrontation.
so now I said it's in the tower.
No, because they overpowered us. They
Is
told
it
us
overpowered,
that.
or is it that the argument that Parliament had was that the Auditor General is an employee of Parliament. Once she, for now, because she's a woman, once she goes out and does her auditing, she reports to Parliament, not ACC.
Exactly, you are buttressing my point. It's the same point we are making. That is the
But
argument.
but that was not the point that ACC held. It was only when Parliament held its ground that ACC backed out.
But by right, we should investigate matters of corruption. It does not depend on anything. We do not need clearance from anyone to investigate corruption. But also Parliament had a very strong argument. I think section 119 of the Constitution, I'm not sure, makes the provision that Parliament could sit and make decisions on those things. So where there is a conflict between our act and the Constitution will take precedence. That is what happened. It was not like ACC gave up, or like you said, what did you say? We
threw in the towel.
We threw in the towel? No. Parliament is a superior body. And Parliament says our powers are from the Constitution. Ours is from the legislation. So where there's a conflict between any legislation with the Constitution, that provision in the legislation would not take effect.
Okay.
So Parliament had, like I said, a superior institution created by a Constitution. So from that time, we just don't jump into audit reports. Parliament has to sit, and you knew what happened then. Parliament constitutes itself into some judicial functions which they performed. And they then decided that, okay, ACC can prosecute this, and this person can pay back. So a lot of the time when people come up with these things and say, audit reports are seated there, you are doing nothing about it, that is not true. We've done something about them. So many things. But again, we depend on parliamentary approval.
So until Parliament gives you the green light? Until
Parliament sits on it and then decides that you can now intervene, that is what we will do, because that is the position of the President we've seen. Okay. Of now, which you are aware, right?
Okay, now give us updates on the former Vice President's case, Victor Bokai.
I don't have any updates on that. Anytime the institution has an update, we would accordingly inform the public.
What is the status of it?
Like I said, I don't have an update on it.
No, well, I mean, okay, what was the latest developments? The last thing that's happened on that matter?
It is in court.
Okay.
It is in court. We are prosecuting. We've not had an update. When there is an update, we'll come and tell the public.
Okay, he is Alassane Kagbo from the Anti-Corruption Commission. He's the Deputy Director of the Public Education and Outreach of the ACC. Keep sending your messages to the number 088373504. Now let me go to the professional head from the Ministry of Works. How would the Ministry ensure that once these things are fixed up, once the commissions of inquiry end, for instance, will not go back to what happened in the post-special court time when people carted away with some of the facilities, destroy them, everything?
I want this body to know that the ministry is now responsible for the management of public assets. And we are in discussion with the Assets Commission to actually take inventory of every item or facility that will be put in place. We are also working on a position paper to ensure that all government assets are properly managed. It is not a matter of putting these things in place, but I will want to know that these things should be taken care of. There should be periodic maintenance of the facilities. People should know how to utilize them. You need to teach those users how to use them so that they may use them properly. I will have periodic maintenance, yearly maintenance of these facilities. We are working on all these procedures so that we will take care of every government asset will be taken care of. and they will be taken on board.
Is the court going to be left in this ruin state, or are plans, or as a ministry, you have plans to fix it up?
Yes,
so that it will be used.
We're discussing with the executive and other related bodies to ensure that, because we look at the special court as a monument. It's an architectural edifice that we all should take care of, because people of interest who witness the court, the special court, may be visiting this place often, and then we'll be having tourists coming to actually see this premise, things like that. So it's one of our priorities to actually ensure that we do not do something that is second hand, but we do something first class, so we have it up and running.
Okay. Well, I'll ask Alasanka, before I go for text messages, rumors are making the rounds that the former head of Maritime Administration, Dr. Sarah Bendu, and her deputy, and also the Minister of Lands, that they were okay. The Maritime boss and her deputy, rumors that they were invited to the ACC.
That's true.
Okay. For what?
I'm not at liberty to say more than what I've said right now.
You haven't said anything on that.
That we invited them, yes, I can confirm.
You invited them for what? I mean, you didn't invite them to have party.
I told you, we shall the public. The ACC is a law enforcement agency. All law enforcement agencies manage information. When I'm authorized to talk about it, I'll come out and talk about it.
Was she bailed?
I cannot give you further information.
So how was she released?
You're asking me the same question. We shall give the public.
No, but Mr. Kago, interestingly, if someone is under the net of the ACC, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think before that person sees the light of day, he or she needs to be bailed.
It
right?
Depends. It depends.
Okay, so in how circumstance she was not bailed?
I don't want to talk about her because I've not been authorized to talk about her.
What about the Minister of Lands? Was he invited to the ACC?
I have not been authorized to talk about him as well. Whenever I'm authorized to talk about any issue, I'll come and talk about it.
Well, let's go for the final text message. One says, Chief Young, good to see you talking of the Commission's inquiry, but let us start from 1996. This one says, in Sierra Leone, criminals are not punished, and more when they embezzle state funds. I think they should pay and be jailed as well. Can the chief present the communique signed from the tribal heads? Payong is just talking politics. This one says, please, Alaska, tell us about the former maritime boss, Dr. Sarah Bendu. Chief Young, a few messages for you, sir. Did you sign any communique with the government?
No, we've not signed a communique with the government because sensitization is quite different from signing a communique. The meeting we had with the Minister of Information was purely to sensitize the tribal heads about the commission of inquiry that is about to take off, and that we should go back to our people in our various localities to pass the message to them that this is not a witch hunt, that this is about the betterment of Sierra Leone.
As chief, did you have any reservations? Did you have any concerns that you raised with the Minister of Information?
Of course.
Or you are only there to just say yes?
No,
yes?
no. We at least had some reservations that that even those who are presently working within the present government, if they are culpable, then they should face the full penalty of the law, and that there should be no sacred cow, because what is good for the goose must be good for the gander, and that is exactly what we told the minister, that this is not about witch hunt, this is not about party politics, but this is about the betterment of this nation. And until we try to set a pace, until we try to wipe away corruption, we'll always be going cap in hand begging. Australian, we have got a lot of minerals. We don't supposed to depend on foreign aid if we manage our resources very well. And I want to commend the ACC for collecting 8 billion in 6 months. That is just a clear indication that there was corruption, because you cannot give what you don't have.
Okay.
You can only give what you have.
Okay, well, thank you very much. He is our Chief Jibao Young. Well, that's how we end this edition of the Podium. Alaska, are we expecting more collections from the NRA, from ACC in the next 6 months to come?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Okay, well, that's
and
it.
More indictments and more persecutions.
More indictment this week, next week?
I don't know specifically, but expect indictments.
Okay, well, that's how we end this edition of the Podium. Thanks to all my guests and my producer, Salma Tabati. We'll join you again tomorrow. God bless you. Goodbye.